Hey sis, it's Dr. DeeDee Wednesday. If you've ever been afraid of losing yourself in a relationship, or if you looked up one day and realized that parts of you had gone a little quiet while you were trying to love someone else, then this conversation is for you. Because today, we're going to be talking about how not to lose yourself in a relationship. Girl, you don't lose yourself in a relationship because you're weak. The truth is, it's actually quite the opposite. You lose yourself because you're loving and emotionally aware. And that love and that emotional awareness makes you really keen and tap into what it is that your partner needs. But sometimes this can be a little bit of a flaw, because while you're so keened in and focused on what it is that your partner needs, you've somehow forgotten what it is that you need. And while emotional awareness is definitely a strength, when it's on autopilot, sometimes it'll cost you. Sometimes it will cost you. And this doesn't look dramatic. This looks like little decisions that happen consistently, again and again. It looks like you adjusting, again. It looks like you letting things slide, again. It looks like you telling yourself, oh, it's not that serious, again. Until these things start happening again and again and again, consistently. So much so that one day you realize that while you're still in the relationship, you're not in the relationship, because you aren't you anymore. So pull up a chair, take a seat, and let's dive into it. Girl, you don't wake up one day and decide, at least not consciously, to abandon yourself. It happens in small and what you've considered reasonable choices. Choices that you've been socialized to make your entire life. Staying quiet to keep the peace, like over-functioning to feel secure, or dimming your light, or making yourself small, or not speaking up because there's a part of you that feels like doing those things makes you easier to love. And slowly, your inner world gets quieter while your relationship gets louder. But this isn't failure. This is conditioning. You have been conditioned your entire life to make yourself smaller while making your partner or other people that you're in relationship bigger. And this damages your self-worth. But it doesn't have to stay like that, because awareness is where choice begins. And lucky for you, this video is about to bring you a lot of awareness. Awareness so that you can make different choices. And by different, I don't mean leaving your relationship. I mean getting back to you. So in order to do that, this is the first thing I want you to practice. And don't worry, this is something that you can actually do in your real life. I want you to start pausing. Pause before you say yes. Before you even check in to see if this is something that you want or something that you want to do, I want you to pause. Because the fastest way to lose yourself is by answering before you even ask yourself, is this something that I want? Or do I even want to do this? And I want you to stop asking yourself these 3 questions. Will this cause an issue? Will they be disappointed? And is this the right thing to do? And focus more on, do I want to? Is this for me? And while it sounds good, it feels a little challenging to do that. So I'm going to give you a few little phrases you can say in real time in these moments to help you kind of get with that pause, right? So when you get the urge to immediately say yes, I want you to say one of these 3 things instead. 1, let me think about it. 2, I'll get back to you. And 3, I need a minute on that. Those are real life examples of things that you can say in the moment. And creating that pause for yourself, that's not avoidance. That's how you give yourself space to answer honestly instead of automatically. Here's the grounding truth. Love should not require self-abandonment. If a relationship is only working because you're shrinking, sis, that's not intimacy. That's self-erasure. Because healthy love makes room for you. It makes room for your presence, for your rhythms, for your quirkiness. It makes room for your emotional range. Because you are not meant to just be fully absorbed into someone else's life. You're meant to be met. You're meant to be met by your partner so that you all can grow together, not so that you can grow into them. So here's the next thing that you can do, and this one matters. So listen up. When you feel yourself getting quiet to kind of avoid the tension, don't ignore that. Make note of it and circle back to it. Because in the moment, you might not feel like speaking up, and that's okay. You don't have to change who you are as a person. You don't have to change who you are as a woman and make yourself more confrontational than you are naturally, to make yourself more combative than you are naturally. We're going to do this in a way that suits you and who you actually are. So, in those moments when you can't really speak up for yourself, don't force yourself, but also don't ignore that. Take a mental note and tell yourself, ooh, I just held something in. I wanted to say something, but I didn't. And after you make yourself aware, then you can decide how you want to circle back to it. And that might sound like one of these 3 things. The first one is simple. The first one goes something like this. Can we talk about something that's been sitting with me? The second thing you can say is, I realized I agreed to something that I actually wasn't okay with. And the third thing you can say, this one is my favorite, so I saved it for last. Hey, earlier, when X, Y, and Z happened, I didn't say anything, but I want to take this moment to kind of share how I feel about it. You can say either of those 3 things and still be yourself. Because with these examples, you're not creating conflict. You're just choosing not to disappear. And that's how you stay yourself in a relationship, by choosing not to disappear. Okay, so let's talk about boundaries. A lot of times we think that boundaries are consequences, but boundaries are not consequences. They're not punishments, and they're certainly not ultimatums. Boundaries are clearly stated rules or regulations. And notice that I emphasized stated, right? Because if you want to set a boundary, you have to state it. Because otherwise, it's just a little rule that only you know about. And how can you expect anyone to stay within your boundaries if they don't know what your boundaries are, girl? Quick answer, they can't. Because boundaries are communicated information. They teach people how to deal with you without costing you your peace and without you carrying the responsibility of becoming theirs. Now, if I'm honest, that's one thing that social media has gotten wrong, and it's convinced people that they need to find their peace in relationship. Baby, your peace is your responsibility, and my peace is my responsibility. You can no more be someone else's peace than they can be your peace, because you are your peace. And if you don't have peace, then you need to reevaluate why that is. Okay, back to boundaries. So we're going to set and communicate boundaries, because boundaries, like we said earlier, is communicated information. Now, when you're communicating that information, when you're setting those boundaries, I need you to take note of this. Anyone who benefits from your self-abandonment, who benefits from you turning your back on yourself, they are going to be very resistant when you decide to set boundaries. And so while those boundaries are information, take note of people's behavior, because their behavior, when you set those boundaries, that's information too. Oftentimes when you have been self-abandoning, when you have been experiencing self-erasure, you start to resent your partner, because there's a part of you that feels like this is their fault. Resentment is one of the clearest signs that you have been overgiving and under-speaking. Speaking up for yourself, that is. And so when you start feeling those things like resentment, I want you to ask yourself, what is it that I am doing that I am quietly annoyed about? And what is it that I wish that they would know without me having to say it? And then choose one small adjustment. You can either stop doing the thing, ask for help, or say what it is that you've been hinting at, right? Remember we talked about boundaries are communicated information. If you're not communicating what it is that you want, and you're just walking around dropping hints with the expectation that they're just going to pick up those hints and become the magical partner that you want them to, sis, I hate to tell you, but you're setting yourself up for failure and you're setting them up for failure. So instead of just assuming that they should know or wanting them to know, tell them. Say it. Not dramatically, not emotionally, just honestly. Resentment is not a character flaw. It's simply a signal that something needs to change. And with these skills, you can change it. So as we're talking about all of these things, I want you to remember, sis, the goal is not to be guarded. The goal is to be rooted. Because you don't have to disappear to be loved. And you don't have to lose your softness to protect yourself. You can be soft and strong. And you deserve to be soft and protected. Because you are allowed to remain yourself and to be secure while still being in love and loving deeply. If this spoke to you, take a minute to like the video and leave me a little heart in the comment section so that I know you were here. And if you're new here, I would love for you to subscribe. Come grow with us. And as always, I love you. And I hope you have an amazingly blessed day. Bye.